These are these tools.
Yeah.
Watch us, get in contact.
It's funny you should say that because, like, when I was going through school, I found out I always knew that I was learning in a different way to everyone else. And my mum said to me, maybe you're dyslexic. And throughout school, I had no idea. It was only when I got to university and I wrote an essay, and my tutor brought me into the class, and we were into her office. We were reading the essay together. She's like, "Are you dyslexic?" And I was like, I'm not sure." She was like, "Go down to the library, go and get yourself tested out." And because I was in university, the university helped pay towards half of the fee for a dyslexia exam. But a dyslexia exam costs, I think, £300-400. Yeah. So if it wasn't for the fact that my university paid pretty much 90% of it, all I paid is pretty much £100. If it wasn't for the fact that the university paid 90% of my dyslexia exam, I would never have been diagnosed. I would never have got the help and anything that I got in uni, because because I was doing a music module, I got given a brand new Mac. I have problems with, like, when I write something, I will write it and I'll write it as if I'll miss words out, but then when I read it back, I'll read it as if the word is there.
Oh my God, I've got the same problem, bro.
Well,
I'm not joking.
Yeah,
you know what?
You could be dyslexic, man.
You know what, Ian? If I, on WhatsApp as well, anything I type, people are like, "Hey, yo, bro, you missed out this word." I'm like, wait. Yeah. Swear down.
Yeah, when I read things back, essays, I
can't find it.
I can't find this missing word, but my teacher will read it back and be like, this doesn't make sense. But even if it doesn't make sense, I'll read it as if it makes sense in my mind. So I got this software on my Mac that which helped me tremendously at uni. It used to read out my essays for me. Yeah. So then when I would listen to it back, I would know that a word is missing and I would be able to add it in.
Literally, it took me about 3-4 times to find what's missing. So I think I might have mild dyslexia.
Yeah,
but
that's exactly what I've got.
It takes me quite a while I will clock it if I keep reading it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I can't be bothered and I post it and there's people that it's not make sense. But I'm like, yeah.
But literally, yeah, what I have is a very mild case of it. It's like, because it's so mild that it's kind of low enough that no one will really notice it. Yeah. But if I had the help for it, I would benefit tremendously. From it. So if I had the help from it back in school, I would have, like, I would have got things like extra time in exams because I write really slowly and I read really slowly. So that stuff like that would have helped me in exams. I wouldn't have felt like I had to rush in exams. You know? So
you could have got better grades to get into a better university.
Yep.
And also, your life could be completely different now.
Mm-hmm. Or I could have had definitely better grades because I would have had the help and stuff like the understanding of this is why I'm learning this way and stuff like that.
It's so sad, bro, this world.
It's really terrible, and it's only if you have enough money to have this test done that I would have known before going to university.
You have to pay for the dyslexia test.
You have to pay for a dyslexia test.
What? It should be free. It's a disability. Because I remember when I told my university I had a stutter, I had a $5,000 disability allowance.
Lucky. We don't get that for dyslexia because it's kind of...
That's more popular though. Not popular. That's more known and accepted. Yeah. Way more.
But I didn't get anything really.
Crazy.
The only thing I did get is I got my Mac. I got all the softwares to help me out. I got a free printer. I didn't pay for printing credit. Really? If I had to pay for anything printing credit wise, I took my receipt, sent it off to student finance, got that money straight back. I got another thing that helped me. I got a recording device because I can never write notes properly, especially in a lecture.
I've got that as well. I've got a recording device as well.
But that helped me a lot.
Something I have no idea why, but I've got a recording device.
But it helped me in lectures because I could just record them and then listen to them back later. Mm-hmm. So it just meant for me, I would record lectures and and not listen.
That's the thing.
And then when I get home later, I'll listen and I'll take notes and whatever.
Really?
But, yeah.
When I got home, I did not listen. Bruv. I was opposite.
I was listening, and then I would kind of make like they had like markers you could do on the recorder. So I make markers when someone said a big point or something like that, so I could skip through it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
But
I ain't said nang in a long time.
But yeah, that's what I mean. I think that they should have more awareness for mental health.
Oh, mental health. That's another thing I'm trying to go massive on, especially on Instagram. Trying to be the pioneer for mental health, man. Because black people suffer that the most, and we don't talk about it.
You should. There's a few people I can introduce you to, or like you should come down to like poetry events and stuff like that, because a lot of poets just deal with a lot of mental health issues and stuff like that. I've noticed.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of them are doing work within mental health. I've got a friend called Miss Yankee. She's a poet. She does this workshop called Poetry Prescribed, where every week they have a different topic that they're talking about and writing about, and anyone can go down there and you just kind of write a poem and make a piece of work, and it's networking and meeting all these different people and stuff like that.
Really?
So yeah, there's loads of different events. There's another guy called Fisky, and Paul Fisk his name is, and he's a rapper, a poet, and he also does these nights once a month. This called Mind Over Matter. And
cool.
He helps, basically he brings on basically, there's like maybe some people who are headlining, and there will be like, they're all people that have a mental health issue, but they use like music or poetry to kind of help them get through it.
Where are these people, man?
I'll send you the information, man.
What I'm saying is, it should be bigger, man.
It's the poetry community, so it's just all.
It's hard to reach these people. There's so many amazing people doing great things, but it's hard to find them unless I meet you or meet someone in that
but
world.
Like it's good for especially different miniature groups to kind of interlock and kind of do work together, because then it kind of spreads out.
That's the point. Networking's key in life, man.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, I recommend coming down to some poetry events.
You go down to any?
Yeah, I'm always performing. The next one I'm going down to is...
You do poetry as well?
Yeah, I'm a poet, yeah.
That's a madness. That's so cool, bro.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I know about these people in this community, because I started my... I've been writing for ages, but I decided, I think it was after my dad passed away, that I was just going to be like... And I found out that finally I wasn't the father of this child, that I was going to take my life back and flipping just share my poetry with the world. So that's why I just...
So you get on stage and...
Yeah. It's scary. I love performing on stage, but when I'm on stage performing, I feel like... Sometimes I feel nervous as hell. But the moment I get on stage, it's just me getting my words out. I love performing. I absolutely love it. It's no place I would ever want to not be. It's a lovely place to be, and especially with poetry, I've found that it's a place where people actually stop what they're doing and listen to every single word that you're saying, and it's kind of the power of words. Sometimes you're saying next to nothing, or words that maybe don't mean anything, or metaphors and stuff like that, and it's just the way how it connects, not just in my mind, because I've written it, I know how it connects in my mind. I'm more interested in how my poetry connects with other people.
Wow.
Their perceptions of it, because my perception was written, you heard my perception. I'm more interested in what you take from my words.
So is it like spoken word?
I guess spoken word in a sense, yeah.
What's the difference? Is there like a beat with your poetry?
I've been told that I have a musical cadence, so like there's a musical element to the way I tell things or tell poems, but there's, I guess, spoken word, poetry. It's all
different.
it's different, but it's within the same genre type thing. a lot of things out there, I guess, are now spoken word because.
What is spoken word? Is it just storytelling or something?
Yeah, I guess storytelling.
And poetry is actually poems.
Well, it's all the same. I guess it's all kind of the same. I don't know properly. I know a guy. I need to get him on my podcast. He's studying poetry, doing a master's in poetry at the moment. So I really want to get him on the show. So
he's doing a master's in poetry.
Yeah.
Is that a black guy?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something else, bro. Respect.
Masters in poetry.
Masters in poetry.
And like I was asking him questions like, how can you study something like do a masters in it or like in something like poetry when it's like so anything's poetry. Anyone can write like a couple of lines and it could be a haiku or something. How's there some sort of formula or foundations to it? And he was just telling me, yeah, he felt the same way, but yeah, that's what he's studying. And I was like, oh, that's cool, though. I don't know.
That's cool.
But I feel like poetry and spoken word are all within the same because it's like if it rhymes then it's poetry, but then it doesn't have to rhyme for it to be poetry. So then that could be spoken word, but then it's still poetry. So it's like
it blends into each other basically.
Yeah, there's two like overlapping lines.
And I think us expressing ourselves in this way just helps us grow.
Yeah.
Tackles the social anxiety, which I think most people have to some degree, man.
Yeah.
Not being able to be themselves, always holding back because of judgment of other people.
And that's what I find a lot when I go to poetry events is like, I'll sit there and I'll listen to someone else's poem and it'll make me think about things that are going on in my life. And I'm just like, wow, I wouldn't have thought about this if I hadn't heard you say or be talking about these issues and stuff like that.
Yeah. Talking is the best therapy. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, it is.
Talking, man. Talking. I love talking now. Before I couldn't talk, bro. Now I love it. It's sick. You know what, yeah? I used to be like sitting somewhere out on the train and watch people's conversations and be like, wow, how come they're talking like that? I wish I could do that. I swear to you take it for granted that being able to communicate.
Yeah, I know. It's like, for example, I was an article in last week's episode, but I was talking about flipping. Like, there was a guy who he's 44 years old and he's just been given a bionic penis for the first time. He was born without a penis, and it was written in the article that it said that it seems like everyone else is more interested or had more to say about this thing than I do, and I feel like it's not really all that. And I was sat there and I read the article and I was like, bro, you feel like it's not all that because for 44 years you haven't had a penis and you haven't orgasmed.
How does it work?
I think he was born with this rare condition where he had testicles, but he just wasn't born with anything else. And you don't really think about kind of the how much he might have had to deal with, but just that fact, it just meant that he had to go through so much because that must mean it was just flat there. So but then also on the flip side of that, because it was flat there, he had to get his excrements out somehow. So
how?
I think he had to get some sort of bag, but they had to.
Oh my God, what life!
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean.
Hey,
and
I can't compare having a stomach, bro.
Yeah, he had to get a bag, and they had to like source a hole so he could piss in the bag, pretty much.
So how is he? So how does he? So it's on him, yeah. The penis is on his body attached.
Well, basically the one that they built him, it was like.
So how does he feel it?
Apparently, it has a pump, and
oh my God! So
the pump gives him the sensation as any normal person would.
So he feels the erection.
Yeah,
and he can have sex.
Yeah,
that's mad. Technologies are madness, yo.
But the best part of the article,
pick up the doctors.
The best part of the article that I read was the fact that it will give him a possibility to have an erection for 10 days.
10 days.
Yeah. But come to think about it, Hey man, 10 days isn't like if you haven't had a penis for 44 years, 10 days of an erection. Yeah, I'm going ham. And he's got a long-term girlfriend, so she's like the most